Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're going to do something super practical. We're taking the dense, let's be honest, kind of dry text of the Vietnamese Civil Code, and we're transforming it into a dynamic, everyday guide. If you've ever felt totally intimidated by legal jargon, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to break it all down step by step so you are never caught off guard. So let's dive right in. Picture this. You're just hanging out and you offer to sell your old smartphone to a friend for a few bucks. You might be surprised to learn that everyday, super casual actions like this actually trigger serious legal rules. But what really separates a friendly chat from a binding legal agreement? Well, the core concept is surprisingly simple. Under Article 355, a contract, or hợp đồng, is literally just an agreement that creates, alters, or ends your civil rights and duties. It's the invisible foundation for everything we do, from buying your morning coffee to signing a multi-year lease. To make this massive legal code tangible, we're going to explore the natural life cycle of a contract. Phase 1 is the birth of the contract. Phase 2 covers execution and obligations. Phase 3 looks at what happens when contracts face trouble. And Phase 4 breaks down some common types of contracts. Section 1. Birth of the contract. You know, the birth of a contract doesn't just happen by accident. According to Article 386, it always starts with a definitive offer. You have to clearly show your intention to be bound by this offer, whether you're making it to a specific person or just putting it out there to the general public. The law maps out a really logical, chronological dance here. First, one person makes the offer. Then there's a waiting period, time for the other person to actually think it over. And finally, the ultimate decision. The other party accepts the proposal, bringing the contract to life, or the offer is officially withdrawn. Section 2. Execution and obligations. As you navigate these agreements, you're going to hear this legal term a lot, nghĩa vụ song vụ, or bilateral obligations. This simply means the contract is a two-way street. Both parties have legal duties to each other. I give you something, you give me something. It's that simple. And how does that two-way street actually work in practice? Well, under Article 410, unless you agreed to a very specific time frame, both sides must perform their obligations at the exact same time. You hand over the cash, they hand over the keys. It makes sure nobody is left standing there empty-handed. But hey, life isn't predictable, right? So what happens to a living contract if a massive, completely unforeseeable event fundamentally alters the reality of your agreement? Think of a natural disaster or a sudden, crazy economic shift. Thank goodness for Article 420. It acts as this vital safety valve. If circumstances change so drastically that moving forward would cause severe damage to one side, you're allowed to renegotiate. And if you can't agree, a court can actually step in to adjust or terminate the contract. You aren't permanently locked into a ruined situation just because the world turned upside down. Section 3. When contracts face trouble. Okay, this is absolutely crucial. You have to understand the difference between these two concepts. Cancellation, or hủy bỏ, wipes the slate entirely clean. It treats the contract like it never even existed. Termination, or chấm dứt, is different. It simply stops an active contract right in its tracks from the moment of trouble onward, but everything that happened before, that stays legally valid. Let's zoom in on cancellation for a second because the fallout is huge. Under Article 427, because the contract is voided from its inception, you must return any assets to each other or pay their value in cash. And the most important part, the person who broke the rules and caused the mess is legally on the hook to pay for all the damages. Section 4. Common types of contracts. Let's look at the specific species of contracts you're going to bump into every single day. A sale, mua bán, requires exchanging money to permanently transfer ownership. A gift, thank cha, transfers ownership, but for free. And a loan, vay, doesn't transfer permanent ownership at all. It just transfers the usage of an asset temporarily. Speaking of loans, here's a highly practical scenario for you. Let's say you draft a loan agreement with a friend. Can you just act like it's the Wild West and charge whatever crazy interest rate you both agree to? No way. The answer is a resounding no. The Vietnamese Civil Code strictly caps loan interest rates at a maximum legal ceiling of 20% per year, period. Under Article 468, the law frankly doesn't care what you agreed to in private. Any private agreement trying to charge more than this 20% annual limit is completely legally invalid for whatever amount exceeds that cap. The law steps in to protect borrowers from predatory lending. full stop. Okay, switching gears from loans to property leases. What if the apartment you just rented suddenly has a major plumbing failure or the roof starts leaking and it is completely not your fault? Are you legally protected or are you just stuck footing the bill? Well, it's really good news for tenants. Under Article 477, the landlord is legally obligated to maintain the quality of the leased assets. They have to fix any significant damages that aren't caused by you. If they refuse, the code actually gives you the right to demand repairs, reduce your rent, or even terminate the lease entirely. Taking a step back, understanding the civil code reveals something pretty profound. Contracts are not merely annoying, bureaucratic paperwork. They're powerful, living tools meticulously designed to bring predictability, safety, and fairness to literally all of our daily human interactions. So, now that you understand how these legal mechanisms are born, how they live, and how they die, how is this going to change the way you navigate your next big decision? Whether you're lending money, renting an apartment, or just selling an old phone, you now have the map to your rights and obligations. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.